Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
And welcome to the podcast. It's A Drink with Derek. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. You can go ahead and check out all the episodes of A Drink with Derek on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel. Just go to Derek Richards, type in A Drink with Derek. Lots of great guests on there. Brad Garrett, also Drew Pearson, Dallas Cowboys Hall of Famer Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show, and many, many more. Lots of great comedians, musicians, authors, also a constitutional attorney I had on as well. So again, go to YouTube and get all the episodes of A Drink with Derek as we record this here today in between Christmas and New Year's. It's been kind of crazy travel out there. Hope that you didn't have to deal with any of that nonsense. I know that my guest today did have to. Going to talk with him here shortly, comedian Dave Landau. I've got some exciting stuff coming up here. When you're going online and you're looking for some stuff, check out my book, Whiskey, Cancer, and Bad Decisions. If you're snowed in, huh? How's that for a tie-in? If you're snowed in, you're stuck by the fire, what can you do? You can read a book. Read a book. Whiskey, Cancer, and Bad Decisions. It's my story about being a 22-year cancer survivor. You can get the hard copy book. You can also get it on Kindle as well as Audible. And we're going to be on the road here coming up pretty soon with the Irish Comedy Tour. Myself, along with Derek Kane, Damon Liebert, and newest addition to the tour, Michael Malone, the irishcomedytour.com, starting February 23rd in Johnson City, New York. We'll also be in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Florida, Wisconsin, Minnesota. The irishcomedytour.com is our website. And I got some fun dates coming up here with my guest, comedian Dave Landau. We are going to be at the Fruenthal Center on Saturday, February 11th in Muskegon, Michigan. Friday, April 7th at City Opera House in Traverse City, Michigan. And then Saturday, April 8th at the Village Theater at Cherry Hill in Canton, Michigan. Myself and Dave Landau. Tommy Thompson is going to be hosting for us in Muskegon, but we're going to be Saturday, Feb 11 in Muskegon, Friday, April 7th in Traverse City, and Saturday, April 8th in Canton, Michigan, which brings me to my guest here today, who is a Detroit native. He's a comedian, actor, filmmaker, and now an author. This guy just keeps adding stuff to his resume. You've seen him on Comedy Central's This Is Not Happening. Also 5 times on Access TV's Live at Gotham. He was a finalist on season 8 of Last Comic Standing. And Dave is currently the 3rd chair on one of the most popular conservative talk shows in the world, Louder with Crowder, on Blaze TV. And you can regularly see him performing at clubs and theaters throughout the country. But he is here with me today. I am honored to have Dave Landau here on A Drink with Derek.
I do love being a dad. It's the best thing in the world. He's 7 now. He was 4 when COVID first hit, and I wanted to, bond with him. So we're just sitting around the house. I'm like, let's go meet my parents. So I brought him to the cemetery, and they don't work there. They're dead. Long time ago. They still vote. So I bring him to the cemetery, and they're in this crypt mausoleum thing, and I walk in, I'm like, hey son, these are my parents, your grandparents. He goes, that's a wall. I said, it is a wall, they're in the wall. He goes, knock on it. I said, they're probably not gonna answer. They're in heaven. And he goes, is heaven in the wall? And I said, I shouldn't have brought you here. I thought he knew about death. I didn't realize that was something I should have explained to him before bringing him to a field of dead people. So I asked my friends, I'm like, what do you do to explain death to a child? They say, get a goldfish. They die relatively quickly. You have the flush funeral, then they kind of understand life and death, right? So I bring him to the pet store. He doesn't want a goldfish at all. He wants a cat. I know, it completely clogged up our toilet. I had to plunge it out, right? And then put it in piece by piece. But my son, he learned all about mortality. and how to use a fillet knife. So it's a pretty good learn. I love cat people because their faces are just like, you son of a bitch. I didn't buy a cat to murder it. It was a stray. Nobody wanted it. It was a learn a lesson cat.
Joke, and the animation is hysterical, by the way. I had no idea until you brought it up that is literally the animated version of me giving you the advice holding the beer.
Yeah, that's you. That's you animated. We use the same animator, and he put you in there. He's like, "Is that cool?" I'm like, "Yes, that's who you should use. Don't even ask him."
That is so damn funny.
Because
that is so damn funny.
That's the advice that all your friends give, especially if they don't have kids. They just they just assume like that's what you do. You kill an animal in front of them.
I love the funeral.
Or when one dies, you have the funeral.
Yes. Well, I love the cemetery where it's the headstones say dead, 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 and one says really dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the little things make it fun.
No, it's great, man. Dave Landau in Detroit right now. I am here in Las Vegas, and no, you mean you didn't cut up a stray cat? I'm stunned to hear that.
No, that part's real.
The goldfish part was total bullshit.
I don't have a son.
You don't have a son either.
No,
Good to see you, bud. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How about you?
Doing well. You had some fun holiday. Well, you didn't get caught in all the travel nonsense like with Southwest Airlines, but you just came back. You were in Syracuse, New York recently, and you were flying back to Detroit.
Yeah, we were hitting turbulence really bad, and the whole plane was just one of those. It was honestly like I've been in bad turbulence. My brother's terrified of flying because when we were kids, we were on Spirit Air going to Atlantic City. It's an interesting way to start a story. When we were children, my brother and I were alone on a plane going to Atlantic City. Wonder how I ended up with a gambling problem. Anyway, but we almost went down. Like we started nosediving. And my brother's been terrified to fly ever since. And I looked at the other way. I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess it doesn't get scarier than that. So it doesn't bother me as much. But I'm on this last plane, and there's these couple talking, and I'm in the first row of first class because, I'm doing well. I've been upgraded. And
you're fancy like that.
Yeah,
you're in first class at Spirit, so you're in the big front seat. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, thank God this was Delta, but I'm in the part where you get upgraded to, and everybody knows it because you can't have your bag in front of you.
Of course,
but right across from me is this couple talking the whole time, and it turns out they're college professors because the whole time they're talking about how smart they are and how they respect pronouns and just go louder than anybody should be legally allowed to talk on a plane, to the point where everybody's staring at them. Nobody can sleep, anything. Talking the whole time. And it goes on for a straight hour where I can't even hear the movie I'm watching. And finally, I just look over and I go, could you shut the fuck up? And they were like, I'm sorry, what? I go, could you shut the fuck up, please? And they were like, you don't have to use language. We can keep it down. I was like, that would be nice. And then everybody behind me, I didn't realize there was a couple of kids behind me who were getting some rest and their parents were over there. But it turns out when we landed, the dad was happy. But when we were hitting the turbulence, I had the strangest feeling like I wanted to be home and be safe to my family and see my son. But I also wanted to see and hear them die. Have you ever had that feeling where like it would have been worth it? Yeah, like if just a piece of engine came out and just hit them in the face, I would be like, this was worth it. This is the best Christmas ever. I was enjoying. I just was like looking at them, just thinking of like what a nice final destination ending this could have. Watching them just holding their wine, trying to act all bougie and self-important, when just a piece of the pilot's head landed in their lap.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
I was so pissed.
I
But I
can't
was thinking
stand that.
like,
People have no respect for boundaries. You're literally, I think, on a plane or a bus, any mass transit, you're right on top of each other. I mean, just pop in your earbuds, keep the conversation down, and we're all in the same shitty situation. We just want to get to point B.
well, it's
And
the
don't
thing
be
is, I don't.
distracting. Don't be an ass.
Well, yeah, and it's like I don't mind if you talk, but it's like these are the people who are educating everybody to dye their hair blue and be cunts. Like that's the problem is these are the people who are becoming the elite class where it's like you're so obnoxious and so self-important, you're not aware of all the people around you, including the two behind me that are probably like early teens and then the other ones maybe like 9 or 10, just trying to sleep.
Right.
And the parents are happy they are. It's like you're not even aware that there's other people in the world but yourself. Like I think we've lost that so much as a culture where it's everything so much me, 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 me that you don't
Yeah.
understand when you're pissing off literally an entire plane of people. I mean, you had the flight attendant look over and just kind of stare at him, and I'm looking at the flight attendant like, you're going to say something, right? And it's like, you're not? Okay. So eventually
No.
I had to, which I don't mind doing, but I gave it a good hour, and then the most polite I could be was, shut the fuck up, please.
Well played. I mean, I've had people
Yeah.
where somebody has the video playing for their kid, like in the seat in front of me,
Yeah.
and they don't put earbuds on, they don't put headphones on the kid, no nothing. And so, like, I've literally, like, I've gotten to the point now. I've seen enough videos on YouTube and on social media where I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy and getting hauled off the plane by, when as soon as it touches down in Las Vegas or wherever I'm going to, where it's like, everybody
Yeah.
remain seated. We have a douchebag in row 16B who needs to be removed by the authorities. And so, like, I literally had somebody on the plane who was doing that, and I hit the flight attendant call button, and it was one of those early morning flights like we've all had to do. And I said, look, I go, they're playing a video, and there's no headphones. And I go, I don't want to be rude, but I will cut up the child and put it in the overhead compartment if it doesn't stop. And the flight attendant, the look on her face was just, and then she just immediately leans over and she goes, and then thankfully I ended up having someone who was gracious enough who went ahead and took care of the situation. But yeah, it's a nightmare. But I want to backpedal here to you, dude. And your brother as kids on a Spirit flight to Atlantic City. How old were you?
Yes.
Were your parents with you? What was this about?
No, we were 10. My uncle ran Bally's in Atlantic City. So we would go to see my cousins, and we'd spend like summers there. And sometime we go in the spring. So my parents would walk us to the airport and up to the plane like you were allowed to do back then. And then we would get on the plane and we would fly the $45 trip with everybody else who was, 95 years old and hopefully, going to play penny slots and stuff that day because there was no legalized gambling anywhere else. So they basically just had air buses to Atlantic City. And we were on the plane in the first class, not first class, but in the front two seats. They would always buy us. And then we would meet my aunt, my two cousins on the tarmac who were our age too. So I want to say we were about 10. And it's probably 1991 or 92. And so probably 10, 92. And yeah, the plane lightning hit and it was like nearby enough to where the plane started spinning out of control and going down. And this was a plane that still had like the ashtrays and stuff, even though it was long since you were allowed to smoke. So like the mask dropped, my brother's freaking out. And I don't know if my depression had started then, but it didn't bother me as much. But it finally straightened out. And my brother was freaked out. Still to this day, he's terrified of flying. He'll do it, but he hates it. Like he has to be basically blackout drunk to get on a plane. And for me, I was like, oh, that's cool. We actually survived it because it was really terrifying. But they were able to like pull up, and we got there fine. But dude, like
at
masks
10 years
dropped,
old,
everything.
Holy shit! I mean, as a 10-year-old to experience that's insane.
Yeah, it was nuts. My brother was like crying and shit, like a pussy.
Was he? And that's when he started drinking, because on Spirit they don't care when they serve you alcohol. You can be 10 years old, but
yeah, he had a vodka on the rocks that was everywhere. I had a double of gin because I tipped her.
A double of gin.
Yeah, she's like,
Fucking
you can only have
classic.
one drink, and I did the
Fucking
Steve Martin
classic.
My Blue Heaven, where I'm like, okay, he wants a drink too. Just put 2 on my tray. And they were like, well, you are
I
in the
love that
most
movie.
expensive seats on the airline.
Well, if you're gonna be fancy, be fancy. What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
New
probably
Year's
like
coming up
13
here. What's
bucks.
the word? Your drinks cost more than the flight on Spirit to
Oh, yeah.
Atlantic City.
Oh, but
Clearly.
yeah, I don't think the flight you can still take now. I think it's like once, I don't know, once a month, and it's still like $50. When I used to play Atlantic City, I would take it. But it's very rare. And then you go to Atlantic City and it's just it's a tragedy compared to what it once was.
Oh, Atlantic City's awful. Oh my god.
Oh, I mean,
It's like
was it Ray
I mean,
Rice who
years
hit his
ago
girlfriend so hard that a casino closed?
that was
Was that him?
that I know he hit his girlfriend. I didn't know that was in a casino in Atlantic City, but I can
Yeah.
listen, if you're gonna punch your significant other, that's the place to do it.
Yeah, because there's so many other people doing it. It's just he happened to be the
Yeah.
only one on the elevator. Had he been in the
You
casino floor, it would have been like, where's Waldo of people punching their wives?
Oh man, New Year's is coming up here. Worst New Year's ever. Is New Year's a big holiday for you, or was it ever?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean it used to be. Back in my drinking days, every year we'd go to my buddy Brian's house in high school and we'd throw these massive parties and then we'd have to clean everything up at the last minute and get out of there before his parents came home at like 12:30. But one year, this girl who we called Vom Shart, because one time she vomited and shit her pants, passed out on his parents' bed. And we didn't know she was left up there. And when we all left, his parents came home and old Vom Shart was just sleeping in their bed. And the
Did
jig
she
was
vomit?
up.
Did she vomit and shit the bed?
Yeah, it was her MO. It was her calling card.
That was her Zorro. That was her Z that she left behind. It was vomit and shit.
Yeah, there was another girl named Rim Job because those things were uncouth back then. They weren't just, the norm as they are now.
Rim Job and Vom Shart. That sounds like a crime fighting duo show on the CW.
Yeah, I don't know why women had low self-esteem. Vom Shart. The CW presents
Rim Job and Vom Shart, the newest crime fighting duo.
Yes. Boy, I think the worst one, Y2K was funny. I think that was the same as Y2K because a lot of my friends weren't there because they were sitting on rooftops in Detroit with their dad's gun thinking the apocalypse was going to come. That was definitely my most memorable because it was like the whole world's going to collapse. And now you look at the year 2000 and you're like, did we even have computers? Like if computers went out in 2000, it's like, what do we do? It's like, I don't know, just use the pads we were taking orders with already. Like, does anybody even have a cell phone? You wouldn't have noticed.
Were you up there on the rooftops with your friends and their dads and their guns?
No, I was at my buddy's house. I didn't believe that stuff for a minute.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, my dad didn't believe that crap. He's like, nothing's going to happen. This is fear. Yeah. Like, he knew. My dad knew we were headed. The second my dad saw me with a pager, he was like, how many ways do you think people should be able to get a hold of you? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, it's a slippery slope, son. And I was like, I don't know. Okay. And I was an idiot. And he's like, okay, just letting you know, it's not a good thing. And also, you're not important enough for people to need to get a hold of. I was like, you're right.
Your old man was a prophet.
Yes, he was. No, he was right. I mean, he passed the following year, but he was right. I mean, now it's like anyone can get a hold of you anytime they want to, no matter what. So, but I'd say the worst one was probably and I do the story in my act, and it was New Year's Eve, and it's when I drove my car into the front of my house, and crashed it into the front of my house when I was a teenager, and then I went inside and I wanted to make a grilled cheese, I guess, and it was taking a long time because I put it in the microwave for 90 minutes, and while waiting for my order, I masturbated in the kitchen until I fell asleep, and then my parents came home, and the microwave and some of the cabinetry was on fire. and I think that's why my dad gave up. He was sick with cancer, and I think that's why he kind of gave up that day, because once you see your kid masturbating to a house fire, there's just not a lot of reason to go on.
This is when you just take whatever chips you have left at the table. And
Yeah,
go,
you just
I'm
go.
going to cash out.
Yeah, there's
I'm
no
gonna
reason
cash
to
out.
stay.
That would
I
be.
feel like I did a good job up until about a year ago, and this is enough.
You laying on your kitchen floor, holding your dick,
in my hand,
while the microwave is smoking. 90-minute grilled cheese. It takes less time to make cheese than it does for you to cook one.
Yeah, that's correct. And in a microwave, and it wasn't even like a grilled cheese. It was just a Wonder Bread with a fully wrapped Kraft single on it.
Kraft, yes. Please tell me you didn't take the wrapper off.
I did not take the wrapper off.
Why would you just drove your car into the house? Why would you do that?
Yeah. I left the car on. Why would I take the wrapper off? You could still
got my hands occupied. I got my dick in one hand. I got the Kraft single in the other. I can't. What am I, David Copperfield? I can't do all this shit.
Right. Yeah, my subwoofers were blaring because I had two 12-inch Cerwin Vegas in the back, and the only reason the police didn't come was because it was New Year's Eve, and it probably didn't seem that crazy. But yeah, I was in a matching jumpsuit, so I looked cute.
You were in a matching jumpsuit, or was it a tracksuit?
Tracksuit, yeah.
Tracksuit on the floor, your dick hanging out, microwave smoking, grilled cheese, car in the house.
Correct.
I can see why the cops wouldn't even go there just for the paperwork.
No, and it would have been many times they had been there.
They knew the route to your place. Anybody that knows you knows that these stories are completely true, and you've got just volumes of killer stories. Which, by the way, is now you're an author. You got a book. I was
it's not out yet, but
to let me read the manuscript when you first put it out, and now you've since added. You were telling me you re-edited some stuff and you added a couple of chapters to it. What's the book about? Explain it to the people that when this does come out. What's the title? What's the basis behind the book?
It's mainly pornographic. It's
sweet.
Yes.
Hang on, I'm gonna go make a grilled cheese. Years. Keep talking.
Yes. Bring the butter. It's about me and a woman who was my aunt, in ways that weren't really blood, half aunt. No, it's about.
I wasn't going to stop you. I'm like, keep going. This is going to be.
Yeah,
this is going to be
very
hilarious.
sexy. It's like Dr. Seuss, but there's fucking. So what it is it's about, and I guess I've already brought it up for whatever reason, but it's about essentially my dad's diagnosis with cancer due to Agent Orange and him being sick and my parents having to travel around to get surgery because the VA denied his benefits. But then it's about me as a troubled teen going into my early 20s, which I've talked about. I've had relapses a couple times. You may have experienced one. But I've been pretty good for, 13 years. So, it's about the 13 arrests that I had and other events that occurred dealing with what was going on at my house, where I grew up, dealing with depression, dealing with what happened to my dad, what happened to my mom as a result of it, what happened to, the sort of domino effect that this thing had, which is still
Right.
not been taken care of by the VA. They don't care, and it's fine. It is what it is. I mean, it's not fine at all, don't get me wrong, but it is what it is.
Right.
So it's these various stories of my arrests, and it's a pretty funny book I think you'd enjoy it. You did enjoy it. But
It's a great book. I can't believe you're alive. I simply cannot believe that you are alive and that we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, me neither. Even when I start writing them and I'm going through, I'm like, am I remembering this right? And I'll ask people and they're like, yeah, that was you, and I'll just think of even the time, like I have a story in there where I'm talking about where I went into a mobile station on 8 Mile, and I was walking in and I had I grabbed every whipped cream can they had and I just put it on the counter because I wanted to huff nitrous. And you couldn't find it in the area at the time that didn't have a lot of sulfur in it. And they were like, what is this for? And mind you, this is after my second senior year, and it's like July. And I'm like, I just having an ice cream social for my high school because I'm hammered. And they're like, your summer school is having an ice cream social? I'm like, yeah, that's right. So the guy refuses to sell me the nitrous, takes them all off the counter, and I'm trying to go back and get them. And I realize he's calling the police, so I go out front, and I'm like giving him the finger, and he has these 2 liters that are for sale out front that are warm, and it's like whatever. So I start flicking them off, being like, these are mine now, and I'm just loading my car up with 2 liters. And then I look over and there's a cop at the red light watching me. So then I casually start putting the 2 liters in, the last 2, and I'm like, bye, like acting all happy like I had just purchased them. So then I'm leaving and they're following me with no lights on. And I'm like, this is good. So finally I get pulled over and they search my car and they find a 40 of St. Ides underneath my driver's seat. I'm in a
good
full, a full Puma velour jumpsuit, and I'm driving a '98 Buick Regal. And this all made the paper, which is funny because they don't describe me, but they say a 19-year-old man was pulled over in a '98 Buick Regal. And this is about 2001, I think, in a '98 Buick Regal. And they explain what I look like, but they don't. So it just sounds like the local cops pulled over a black dude and arrested him. And the name of the article was "Drunken Soda Pop Drinker." And I actually collected
that.
I did, and I'm gonna actually. I think that's still up on my Facebook, but I'm gonna put a lot of the articles into the book that match the arrests because I ended up cutting them out of a lot of the papers. Sounds ridiculous.
I love how you cut out arrest articles like you cut out arrest articles like the football captain cuts out how many wins he led his team to.
Yeah, like my friend Brian, who Vomshart passed out in his parents' bed. He was the football captain. His parents were proud of him.
Oh my God. What was the hardest thing for you to write in that book?
Boy, there's so many things.
I know.
The hardest thing's
just
probably
from
the ending, so I don't want to give it away. The hardest thing, honestly, was talking about the beatdown I got in my driveway by 2 cops.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's this big anti-police thing. It's just it's what happened. It's what happened, and it was one cop who was specifically a very giant douchebag. And it wasn't that other police didn't feel that way. It was a notorious thing. Everybody hated him. And I think that was one of the harder things to talk about because I did end up, I woke up in handcuffs with a tube in my dick. And getting the charcoal liquid dumped down my throat, and I was just covered in bruises, and I was being charged with assault on an officer, which ended up being dropped, and that was harder to talk about because I had to kind of relive it in my head, and I'd forgotten about every aspect of it.
Yeah.
That and the car accident a few of my friends were involved in. That before I publish it, I'm going to reach out to their families. But a couple of the people that were there are fine with it, but I just want to make sure. But that also, because it's like, I know who bought the beer. I know who,
Right.
I was part of the party. I'm the reason. Everybody thinks they're invincible, and I watched friends die, and I watched a lot of people die, and
Right.
I've watched a lot over the years die because of drugs and fentanyl and coke and addiction and everything else, heroin, and so it's hard to put that out there, but I think it's important because there's so many people, and especially when you're young, where you do think you're invincible and you do think nothing can stop you. And I've seen lives ruined because of that mentality. Like, I never thought that I could be taken down, ever. And it's a stupid way to live. And I've been paying for it since. I mean, I partied every day for a decade, which may not sound like a lot, but it's like, throw in 500 hits, 450 hits of LSD, throw in coke, throw in not sleeping when you're supposed to be like asleep and growing. And I'm 5'6", and I have a twin brother who's much taller. Imagine going to your twin brother's high school graduation party.
And he did not live the life that you led.
No, and he was a partier too, but I took it to this extreme because I was so, I don't know. I had this mental illness and this thing that he didn't have.
Right.
And finally I have gotten treatment for it, and I think it's at least 9% better.
Well, I read the book, at least the manuscript that you had given me, which was, I think, probably a little over a year ago. And it was fantastic. I mean, really, really, really good read. Very well put together. I mean, I commend you for being able to go through, to relive some of the stuff that you went through again, because I can't even wrap my brain around the fact that you had gone through what you did and came out on the back end of it, and to have such a positive attitude that you do. And you've, like you said, you've since re-edited some stuff. You've added some things. Expected release on this at all? Any anticipated time frame that you're looking at?
I'm hoping within a month or two, because I just filmed a special, so I'm trying to figure out how to edit that down. And right when I'm done with that, I'm going to finish the final draft of this. And I just wanted to add fun stories like meeting Sergei Fedorov and a couple things, and not being name droppy, just funny stories that are very Detroit based, where it could only happen in Detroit. And you kind of want to add in a little bit of leverage. I mean, because the stories are funny, but they're all dark. And, I wanted to add a little bit of a little bit more comedy in between a couple of them. And especially when I met Sergey, who was at a gas pump, and I was all high and drunk, and we were skipping class, and I went over to him, and I was like, I grabbed my math homework because obviously I wasn't going to do it. And I still have this. And I'm like, could I get your autograph? And this girl in the car, this really cute blonde girl, was like, who was also like Russian, was like, no, don't. And I was like, don't tell him what to do. And so he ended up signing it. And she's like, do you want mine too? And I was like, why would I want your autograph? And then I went back and got in the car, and I told my friends, and they're like, dude, that's Anna Kournikova. And I said, who's Anna Kournikova?
She's gorgeous.
Yeah, but I just thought she was a trophy girl. I didn't know that this was actually some celebrity tennis player. So I completely dissed Anna Kournikova and walked back all hammered. So just this kid who's reeking of booze is like, I don't want your autograph.
I got Sergei Fedorov's autograph on my math homework.
Yeah, we'll pretend you're 18. Yeah,
look at
you guys are living in Michigan.
Russian rim job, beat it.
I think I'm the only person who's ever turned her down for anything.
I'm sure of that. You talk
I
about
guarantee
shooting your
it.
special. You just shot a special over at the Comedy Castle in Royal Oak recently. How did that shape? How did that come out for you?
Really good. I had done one in a
Nice.
big theater in February, and it just didn't look how I wanted it to look. It was
Right.
too gigantic. It looked more like it looked like an audience watching. Like it looked like you were watching an audience watch a comic. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep.
Like it didn't feel intimate, and I just didn't like the look of it. And it sucks because it was a beautiful venue, and the shows were really good, but it just didn't look good. It did. I mean, don't get me wrong; it looked amazing, but it wasn't what I was going for. I wanted it to feel
Right.
very, very intimate because of the stories that I have in it, and it went
Hmm.
great. Honestly, I love the work. The same director came out. We did it for 4 shows, and the only problem is I had to wear one of my merch shirts because right before I went on, I had realized I had left my shirt at home that I was supposed to wear for the special. So I had a
Right.
t-shirt on, like an undershirt and nothing else. And I was like, I have nothing to wear. So I had to walk out in a shirt that says ahoy, but it's real small at least. But something,
Good plug. Good plug for your merch. Hey,
yeah. I just hate the fact that I had to wear my own merch, but it happens. And it looks really good, very intimate, exactly what I was going for. I'm really happy with it. So I'm
That's
I'm
super
really
cool.
excited to put it out. Yeah,
What's the
and that should be
platform
like
on that? Is that going to
mid-January. Oh,
now?
sorry.
Is that going to go
Go
off
ahead.
on like a? Is that going off on? Because I know a lot of guys are putting stuff off on YouTube. Are you trying to shop this to a Netflix or anything else, or what's your plan for this?
No, I'll probably just sell through my website.
Okay,
Yeah, because I think
that's
people should just
fantastic.
have
What's
it
the
directly, like $5. I don't know, something like that.
right? No, it's perfect. It's a great.
Yeah,
It's a
I
great way to go ahead
just
and do it.
Yeah, there's so many middlemen now, and then by the time you sign with somebody, they want you to do something else, and there's just too many horror stories, and I've waited so long to do a special. I've done tons of TV, but I've never done a special because I've just put out albums. That's it's a very old way of doing it, but it's something that
Right.
I always enjoyed growing up. But I realize, it's not the 80s and 90s anymore, so I have to do something else. But I enjoy that stuff. So I kind of I tend to do stuff that I like and more than other people might. So I finally got it together and put together the special and put everything into it, and I'm happy with it. But I'd rather have it go directly to the person who wants it than to a company that could potentially take jokes out of it, have some deal that I
Right.
don't understand. It's pointless.
Well, because it gets so watered down because you have so many people that get involved in this, as far as agents, managers, different people in positions of authority that are going to say, well, this joke isn't woke enough, or this is going to offend these people. This is going to offend this person. So to be able to go ahead and put something out on your terms, and the fact that we have the outlets available that we have to do that, whether it's being able to sell it through your website or you put it on some kind of a Patreon hookup or whatever. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's better to do it. I mean, Andrew Schultz had sold his to Amazon, then he bought it back for $1 million. Then he ended up making money off of it by doing that. And it's like because they wanted to censor so much of his content. And it's not that I
Right.
have that fan base, but I really did commend that because they kept saying you can't do this. We're going to take this. We're going to cut this. We're going to cut this, and that's not what he agreed to. He agreed to put out a special that was what he wanted to put out, and it's like it's not. I did a show with him once, and we were both talking about being a stand-up, and this was a couple of years ago when I was on Compound, and it was just about how comedy is not your interpretation of a joke. It's my intention. And I've thought about that ever since. And when he really put his money where his mouth was, I thought that was incredible.
Hmm. Well, I think
And
what cracks me up now is when you talk to people, and I'm sure you've had people say this after shows where they say, "Oh, it's got to be so difficult to be a comedian right now in today's landscape." And I argue that it's tougher to be an audience member in this landscape because
agreed.
because stuff that you used to laugh at with a bunch of people around you, whether it was appropriate or inappropriate, and you thought it was funny, you would just openly laugh. And now, as an audience member, it's not difficult for me to go up and say what I feel and how I want to, produce a joke and the response that I'm hoping to get from it. But I think it's not difficult for me to say what I want to say. If you got a problem, go fuck yourself. And I think it's more difficult as an audience member to sit next to like those two elitist pricks that were on the flight with you, thinking that they're better than everybody. And so, you're laughing your ass off at the story of, as an audience member, laughing at you crashing your car into the house and jerking off and making a 90-minute grilled cheese, in your tracksuit. And then here's this, douche nozzle from University of Fuckbag, and his wife sitting there, sipping their Chardonnay with their arms crossed going, oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, I even think about when you go to share something online. Because people will share something I put out and I'll go, do you have a job? Like, do you have a day job and you just did that? Because I can share anything I want and say anything I want. Who's going to fire me? Me? Mm-hmm. So it's like, and trust me, I've been canceled and they've tried to cancel me and everything else. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I am who I am. Like, anything that I've been called, I don't care, because the proof is how I've lived my life and how I've been to other people. You can call me anything you want because I've been on shows, with other people. Because I've gotten that with, because I'm on a show that is right wing, regardless of if I'm a moderate voice. But all of a sudden, if you're anything, right of, Mao, you're a Nazi. So yeah, it's like it's a crazy time, and it's like, oh, this is racist or this is homophobic. It's like, really, when have I ever demonstrated that behavior in my life? Ever? Never. So when you look at this, when I just hear stuff, I don't care. It's meaningless. You're throwing words at me that don't describe me at all, so I don't care. Like, people who get canceled for more severe things, fine, but it's like, when you try to cancel everybody for these blanket reasons, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Especially now where everything is sort of the Wild West in the sense of the internet and what you can build and what you can make. Like, nobody's waiting for a producer anymore to be like, hey, you were great, I'm going to put you on the Tonight Show, and tonight when you do it, everybody's going to see it and you're going to be a star. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't do the Tonight Show. I would.
Sure.
It's like, I don't care if Colbert has... I mean, I do care that Colbert has dancing wax needles. It does freak me out beyond anything imaginable. But would I do the show? You bet I would, because I'm a whore.
Yes! We're all whores in this business.
Yeah, like, there's not... Show business isn't filled with great people, and I try to be a good one in it, and that's all I can really do is be who I am in this business. And it's amazing that any success that you have, you will be attacked, you will have to deal with it, you will have to deal with people trying to cancel you. And yeah, it's amazing when people say it's got to be tough to be a comic. It's like, no, I've been... people aren't going to like you. People are going to be offended. People are going to try to take you down. Like, it's just part of this game. And eventually it kind of bugs you at first, and sometimes it really hits you. And then after a long time, it's just like, I don't care. I will laugh at comments and take pictures of them and send them around at some of the better ones, where just even somebody who I watched a sketch show I put out yesterday and said, like, I think you should have gone for more of a Tim Burton look. It's like, did you write that? Yeah, but it's like somebody wrote that thinking that that's advice or that they should have said something. It's like, just for writing that personally, I feel you should have all your fingers broken. But at the same time, I agree with freedom of speech.
I always say, and I want to get to this here in a second, but I want to go ahead, before we do that, I want to go ahead and actually show a clip, because you actually put together a sketch show called Normal People. And before we go in, Normal World, I'm sorry, please forgive me.
Yes, no, it's close though. It's same deal.
Sorry, exact. My apologies. Normal World. You just released it on. You can watch it on YouTube. Highly recommended. I saw it I want to show a segment here right now. Sean, let's go ahead and pull up this clip from Dave Landau's Normal World.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this Sunday evening's meeting of Victims Anonymous. I'd like to thank you all for coming. If you're interested in some nourishment, we do have some vegan baked cookies and some ethically sourced fair trade coffee. You're welcome to it. That's complimentary. If you could follow the rules, please do wear your mask. Unless you're talking, eating, breathing, or doing really anything with your mouth at all, or you just don't want to wear it, just leave it haphazardly dangling from your ear or under your chin to make others comfortable, because we live in a time of fear. Yes? All right. If you'd like to go ahead and share your trauma, please do. If you're just here to listen, that's okay too. It's okay to be not okay. Remember that, okay, guys? It's okay to be not okay. The love of my life was murdered behind a Chili's. And I think some of you that have been here know that. And I just want to say welcome. And again, my name is Brant.
Hi, Brant. Hi, Brant.
If I could just encourage you guys to share. And remember, what you hear here stays here, okay, guys? Okay, so if anybody wants to share their trauma, I'd sure appreciate it. But again, you don't have to do that. We can just look at each other. Okay?
I'll go.
Thank you.
My name's Kyler. He, him.
Hi, Kyler.
So, I made the mistake of letting my children watch that Disney movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Besides the use of the word doors, which is so fucking antiquated, there's a serious sexual assault problem going on, and her true love, Prince Florian. But besides, if it's not bad enough that he gives her true love's kiss, he does it when she's asleep. Like, what the fuck, man? No, it's not okay. It's all right. So you must have consent, and even if you get consent, if she decides later that it's not okay, that if she regrets it, then it's just not okay, man. Like, my kids saw this shit.
How old are your children?
4 and 7, man.
Nice.
Thank you, Kyler, for being so brave today. So.
My two favorite parts in that particular sketch in Normal World is the love of my life was murdered behind a Chili's.
Thank you.
I literally had my mouth full of coffee the first time I heard that, and I sprayed it all over my kitchen table. It was so damn funny. And the second part is the creepy dude. How old are your kids? 4 and 7.
That was.
Oh yeah.
That was taken from a real life experience where I was doing Merrillville, Indiana, this club called Crackers, and me and this other comic Chris went over to the attached restaurant, which was Hooters. And this girl and her dad were having what I would call the saddest birthday party of all time. And this way, like eating wings, and this guy who's sitting alone at a table at Hooters goes, "How old is your daughter?" And he goes, 13. And he goes, "Nice." And me and Chris could not stop laughing for like 20 minutes. It was the most uncomfortable I may have ever been in my entire life.
Oh my God. What's the I saw the show front to back. I love it. I mean, I should have had a little more of a Tim Burton feel to it, but
yeah, we should have had a little bit. Yeah. No, I mean, why not add like the most outplayed director who's just beaten himself to death? Do that guy. We want more of that guy.
Tell me about the whole episode, or because it's how many sketches altogether in that in the show?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, five sketches altogether. And so go ahead and explain to people as they before they even watch this, and then subsequent episodes that you're looking to. I'm hoping that you've got in the hopper, because as dumb as this society is that we live in, that series can go on for eternity.
Yeah, this one, we just have one made, but we do have other ideas to come up with, more. And like, obviously I have tons of sketches written. I started in sketch at Second City, so it's sort of something I really love to do. And a lot of the reason why I went to the Crowder show was for sketch. And what the idea was it's this dystopian world that we're living in. And I wanted to make fun of both sides, like whether it's people's reaction to it, or if it's the people who are actually behaving like that in today's society. And this sort of like, what would just a couple years into the future be, maybe a year into the future, just maybe if it turned a little bit right instead of left, like parallel universe. And that's what it is it's this sort of almost Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, dystopian nightmare, which is actually very real. And it's
spot on.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's, you have that, you have a commercial for male tampons. You have an iPal home assistant that basically decides what you're going to do. You have,
I'm laughing because I've seen the episode, and I saw when you first finished it, and so it's you telling me the sketches that are in this. It's bringing back memories. So yeah, it's very, very well done.
Thank you. Yeah, there's one where it's about like if your white son comes out as straight, how you can have him terminated and get a new child to make gays, so people realize how sympathetic and great you are to your gay child. There's which is, it's funny because it's like, it's not even, which I sent it over to my buddy of mine who's gay, and he's like, it's perfect because it's really mocking people who want to pretend they're these overly sympathetic heroes to the gay community, where it's like, you're not, you're annoying to them. And that's why I wanted to make it, was because even when they're sitting on the porch, if you look to the right, like it says gun-free zone, and then this house is protected by tolerance. There's just different signs that are up, like just little things that make them even more annoying. So just stuff, and then the third one's a very special, kind of a short horror movie called Demon Molesters.
It's so wrong. I'm not gonna give anything away, but it's watch Normal World. Find it on YouTube. Go to Dave Landau's page, and you can go ahead and click there. But yeah, you can just type in Normal World on YouTube, and it'll pop up. You got a good number of views for the for day number 1, which is I think it was up around like what 14,000 somewhere in that.
Yeah, it's not doing too bad. I mean, it's not it's not on any big platform. So for really just a grassroots thing, it's doing really well. And the feedback has been 99% positive. And if it's 100, you're not doing something right. So you always want to piss some people off, and that's good.
Well, there's always that element of pissing some people off. And again, I laugh at it because we all know the society that we live in. What makes me sad is the people that are going to watch that and cry.
Yeah. It makes me happy.
Of course it does. It should make you happy. I think it'd be happier if you were drunk and you plowed into them right before you hit your house as they were crying watching your video.
Those were the days. I should have started drinking in my 30s. I really no, it's true though, because if anybody takes that seriously, you're not even. People are incapable of self-reflection or taking any accountability. So I don't think that people can watch it and go, "Oh, is that what I look like? Am I that big of a douchebag that I behave like this?" I spend so much of my life being self-deprecating and second-guessing and worried, and like dealing with self-esteem and all. And me personally, I'm neurotic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I spend so much of my time almost too worried about what other people think that I work on it. that I can't imagine just having the confidence to be such a piece of shit who thinks that they're a savior of mankind in every capacity. Where it's like it's like when you're
I
watching
know.
it's like when you watch heavily vaxxed people die. I don't think that it's sad. Like I do think it's sad, but it's like I just think you look at it and you go, well, this was my worry from the beginning because I was raised by a nurse and I had to learn all this crap about medicine. I have every vaccination but the new one because it didn't make any sense to me because it was politicized, and that couldn't be. It didn't make sense that a medicine was politicized and it was rushed out, and all that stuff I have fear with because of what happened to my dad. Because I
Mhm.
don't trust that part of the government, and then people are coming out like, "Oh, so you're anti-vax, you're racist." Like, how's that racist? I just don't trust something. I would like. It's the same reason I wouldn't do coke now. One, because I'm a recovering addict, but two, it's probably filled with fentanyl.
Mhm.
It's like that doesn't mean that I don't like Mexicans. It just means the cartel brought it here.
I like that segue. It doesn't mean I don't like Mexicans. It just means the cartel brought it here.
Yeah, they're
When
different.
you see some of these douchebag comments that come through, and you and I have talked about this multiple times,
Oh
just
yeah,
the
every day.
internet is just a horrible, horrible, horrible landfill of just the most disgusting, awful, stupid, miserable people on the planet. And that's going to lead me into this segment here, talking about these different internet trolls that want to comment on different things that you post, whether it's your special normal world, which, by the way, again, on YouTube, go ahead and find it. If you like it, please go ahead and share it. It's a hilarious sketch show that Dave put together with his associates, and it's again just a great body of work. So again, congratulations on that, and I hope it
Thank you.
hope it continues to move forward. I think again, I think the more people that see that, the more people realize just how stupid we look as a society. But going back here too, just some of the comments that people put on social media. I had a couple videos that started gaining some traction, and some people, and I know that you've had dumb comments that people have posted about you. You've been trolled relentlessly.
Oh yeah, doxed, everything. Yeah.
Everything known to mankind. And I want to pull this up here because this just makes me laugh. Sean, pull this up. Somebody had posted, and literally 99.9% of the comments I just go ahead and ignore. But once in a while, I get a couple whiskeys in me. I feel a little salty. And I decide to go ahead and respond back. So, Sean, pull this up here and bring my, oh, there we go. Perfect. This guy was on one of the videos that was posted. And the guy just writes, about as lame as these jokes. Okay, so what I want to do is, now I'm juvenile, so I just automatically default to picking on your mom. Because at the end of the day, I'm a 7-year-old.
Right.
And
so you wrote.
So what I'm going to, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take, I'm going to take my lines.
Okay.
And so Sean or Dave, I'm going to have you take this guy's lines here. So Sean, or you're going to be, I keep calling you Sean, our producer. Dave, I want you to take Marty's lines. We've got 3 screens of this exchange that I had. I was literally in a parking lot at a grocery store right before Christmas. So this gives you the perspective of how much I give a shit about Christmas. So so go ahead, Dave, and you take Marty's lines, and I'll take my lines. My responses back to him. So so go ahead. Here we go.
You got it. All right. About as lame as these jokes.
Your mom loves my jokes. Tell her to clean up her clam a bit.
Yeah, she's been dead for about 6 years now. Like your jokes.
She's never been hotter. I still visit her headstone.
Ask her for some new up-to-date material while you're there.
As soon as she gets her mouth off of me, I'm on it.
Oh, I see the problem. You're spending too much time getting blown by dead 80-year-old women instead of writing updated material. Got it.
She's good. What can I say?
Yeah, it's hard to come back from that. Yeah, there's there's a few times where like you just go like I really just don't. I stop feeding it because it happens so frequently once you hit certain
Right.
like worlds and levels. Like
Mhm.
one time I was wearing a Beverly Hills Cop jacket, and a guy goes, "Why don't you light that on fire?" And I was like, "Only if you're wearing it." And he got so mad. Like I ended up like doxxed. Like it's like because they don't know how to take a joke; they only know how to dish it
No.
out, and then they're very sensitive. They get very upset. Some of them I've laughed at, and I'm like, "Oh, it was good. It was a good one." But um, also I started getting trolled in the O&A world where a lot of them are like they're the best at it. As weird as that sounds to put it,
Now, when you say
like
O&A,
they
you're talking the Opie and Anthony
Opie
crowd
and
from when
Anthony
you were
world,
on
yeah.
Anthony Kumi on with Compound Media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're getting trolled by like the meanest ones, the pest, like the cruelest ones. Like some of
Right.
them complete dipshits who I can't even believe can function. But some of them pretty good at it. Got a few good jabs, you know, and you'll actually laugh at it. So it's like you're kind of being trolled by the best of the best. So by the time you get
Right.
to like the Crowder's audience or a few other people, it's like, yeah, you can't really try. I've already been through way worse than you could ever be. You know what I mean? It's like it's not
Right.
even a like that's one thing I gotta credit them for is like they'll thicken your skin. But that's why if it's like you
Oh, yeah.
suck, this sucks, I'm like, oh, it
That's
doesn't.
all
You
you
don't
got?
feel it. You don't feel anything. It's like really, I've had my like literally everything you can do to a human being I've had done. Like, and it sucked at the time, but after a while you
Right.
just go, you get used to it, you know. Like, and anybody's talked about it. Segura's talked about it in his book, and you know, Rogan, the guy takes all the time to put together the N-word reel, and you had Shane Gillis who lost his job at Saturday Night Live over a one-word joke that wasn't even,
Right.
you know, he said the word gook and it wasn't even in the context of what they wanted it to be. But now
Of
he's, you
course.
know, selling out theaters internationally because, you know,
Mhm.
he played it right. But for a while he didn't know what was going to happen to his career. And it's like you have people who can have an effect. That's the problem. And it's all
Right.
how you play it, you know. It's like, and that's why I don't really feed it and I don't really take it seriously because it's a sign that you're doing well. I mean, really, if you look at it, your video is probably successful. That guy probably isn't, and that's the end of it. And you're doing something they want to do. I mean, 70, I'd say more than that, 90%, 99% of what people are saying to you is a projection of themselves. That's just the
Oh,
reality of
exactly.
life. So it
No,
doesn't
exactly.
really bother me that much. It did at one time. Don't get me wrong. It really did bother me for a long time. But then eventually when you're getting, you know, trolled by comics and stuff, it's like, this is pathetic. You know, it's not even worth paying attention to because it's so sad. And I
Mhm.
just don't care at that point, you know?
Well, and if you ever question the level of sadness, I want to go ahead and because you know I had time on my hands. I'm in the parking lot and at this grocery store, and so I'm like, let me see what this guy's page looks like. And so he's
There you
got his
go.
his background picture was go ahead and pull this up, Sean. This is look at this family, and he still has the J.C. Penney portrait watermark on the picture.
Oh,
So
that's
this guy who's slamming my video, I go ahead and pull. I go, this is hysterical. I go, I didn't know you could get pictures done at J.C. Penney anymore.
well, it means he was too cheap to buy the picture.
Exactly. Wouldn't have the watermark removed.
He also I don't know why I'm
Oh,
blanking
I
on
know.
his name. It looks like the dude from Shaun of the Dead if he was a deadbeat drunk. Um you have I can't figure it out.
I know.
Are
I
those
think
his
it's his. I
Mormon
think
wives?
I think it's his son and his daughters because that guy, the actual guy, that's not him. I think that's his
Okay.
kids, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
Oh, I
we can take him.
gotcha.
I
Oh,
know we
his
can take him
kids.
down now,
Okay.
Sean. I just love. Yeah, you see people like that, and then you go and you see the J.C. Penney watermark portrait, and you're like, okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you've already won. See, that's my point is like I said, he was a loser. And then you look and you go, okay, you have JCPenney watermark because they sent you the samples and you screenshot it. And then you were like, I don't care for these.
I just saved $8.
Yeah, look what I
I'm
did.
winning.
Put these
I'm
in the
winning.
Christmas card. And you've just You've just taken money from J.C. Penney, which has less money than you.
Literally, if you bought that picture, you would have raised their stock price by 30 cents.
Yeah, who was the last guy to get excited about J.C. Penney? The dude in Roadhouse? Stupid asshole.
You got a movie that you put out called The King. It's a few years now. I want to go ahead and pull up the trailer on this because you had sent it to me when it first came out. I thought it was awesome. Sean, go ahead and pull up the trailer for this movie called The King, which people can still get it on Amazon, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's $1 now. It used to be free on Prime, but I think it's like $1 or something.
It's $1. I'm telling you, it's worth way more than getting the JCPenney watermark off of the pictures.
Yeah, you can leave it on. Every shot, not every shot, but I'd say 1 in 5 do have the Hudson's watermark.
It's old school Detroit.
Yeah.
So before we talk any further about this, Sean, go ahead and play the trailer for the movie The King that was put together by Dave Landau. This is The King.
What's that? That's your new car, boy. Make sure you baby this king.
Oh, you know I will, Dad.
Look.
Whoa! Awesome. Congrats. What kind?
It's still a Baron. The pride of Chrysler.
Well, at least somebody's proud of it.
Really?
This thing doesn't have a CD player, so I made you a mixtape. So we got the 98 Degrees, the Backstreet Fellas.
Yeah, there's gonna be no underage drinking.
Did I hear beers?
Ghetto rum?
No, guys, you know I hate going down there.
8 Mile, baby. We'll just have one of those bums buy it for us.
I'm Spider with a Y.
We need to get my dank nuggets, dude.
Do you mean weed?
Eat that, sack that, drop that gun.
How the fuck you whispering? You a narc?
Why does everyone think I'm a narc? Cause you're all gonna die if you cross me once. Are you guys alright?
No!
Look out!
How many bums are we gonna kill tonight?
Why? This is happening! Why?
The fuck is this?
My dad made me a tape.
Well, dude, turn it off!
Oh, it's raping my ears!
How do you put it on the radio? I don't know. What do you like?
How long did it take you to make that? What was your budget? How did this whole thing come together for you?
I put a GoFundMe up online for $4,000, and we hit the goal. And then I had another $3,000 in donations, including out of my own pocket. So I made it for $7,000, including buying a car, and we shot it in 14 days in Detroit for $7,000, nonstop for 14 days. And it was it almost 10 years ago we shot it. We wrote it in LA when we were living in LA. No, I was living in LA, and I wrote it with my buddy Sebastian, my friend Ken, and my friend Jimmy helped with it too. He didn't take credit in it, but he is in the movie. He plays Robert's older brother. And we had shopped it around a little bit, and we had some interest. And I thought, what if we just make it? And we decided just to make it. And it was a pretty cool project to do. I mean, it was fun to just make a movie for 14 straight days and put it out there. And it was just based on things that I had done as a kid. A lot of kids had LeBarons, getting a car in Detroit, especially at that time. And I'm sure in your time was a rite of passage. When you were 16, it meant everything. Or getting your first car, obviously, rite of passage, and then going into the hood to get beer, all that stuff. You would always pay either a homeless person, or I could use my fake ID, even though I looked like I was 11. I was like, yeah, it worked.
Days, aren't they?
Oh, it was great. You just walk out.
The fake IDs.
Yeah, you're like, I can't believe this guy took my ID. How much was it for the 30-pack of Milwaukee's Best? You're like, only $50. So, yeah, it's like everybody knew.
It's so true.
And
Milwaukee's
yeah,
best.
so it's Those were and the guy who's like, I'm Spider with a Y, that dude actually hung out of a place outside of a place called Piccadilly on 8 Mile, and he was real, and he used to like, he said he was a roadie for bands like AC/DC, and he'd show you his tattoos and stuff. He'd be like, yeah, you guys, when you come in with me, he's like, yeah, so you guys like blowjobs or anything? Like, you guys like that sort of stuff? And we're like, what? No, we'll give you money to buy us beer. And he's like, I do other stuff too, though. And we're like, no, Spider, just the beer. He's like, well, I'll be here. I'll be here. And that's why we added him to the movie, because me and Jimmy remembered him from when we were young, and Spider with a Y would offer you sex after he purchased you alcohol.
How can you turn that down?
He was, it was tough. I mean, he was easily the dirtiest man I've ever laid eyes on. And a man.
That's where your friend Rimjob got her name.
Yes, it was old Spider with a Y.
You've done stand-up sketch comedy. You've made a film. You've written a book. Now, what's few years down the road? What's your end game with everything?
Suicide.
What do you want to? Okay, good happy way to
mall shooting.
Kill yourself. Mall shooting. Perfect. That'd be. The funny thing is, like, that would happen, and I'd look at it and go, nah, I saw it coming.
Yeah, you'd be like, yeah.
He was
that's nice to know that's what people think of me. They're like, no, I get it. No. I think that would shock people, but if you were like, in a closet hanging at a pants down drunk at a Holiday Inn Express, you wouldn't be stunned.
With a Kraft single grilled cheese still cooking in the hotel microwave. Rooms 105 through 109 are no longer be able to be used because they were burned.
Yeah, it's just the sticky situation that happened in there. They're just not allowed to use because they're ungodly.
Oh God.
Man. I would honestly say though, in 5 years, honestly, I would really like to do some kind of late night show.
Right.
Something.
That's
like
cool.
I really would like to put something out there that's like, you bring on comics, you bring on friends, you have something that's different. Just something, you know what, I shouldn't say different. The exact same thing that Carson did, and do it a throwback to the old days of what worked, because we keep talking about things that, it's original, it's this, that. It's like nothing's original. I haven't seen originality in so long. That's why I tried to put out the show the way that I did, and I think it is original.
Right.
And I really do strive for that. And I don't think people know what to make of it when you see it. And I think sometimes you should go back to basics. And that's something that somebody should try, because whatever, like the late night shows I see now, I don't understand what that is. And I don't know what we're trying to do anymore. But I think we're taking the entertainment out of everything, and we're watching woke Hollywood fail. And that's not me being anti-woke. It's just people aren't grasping what it's just, look at numbers.
Yeah.
You had Disney fire their CEO. You had, and then bring them back. You had Tim Allen kicked out, and then they were like, sorry about that. Here's your Santa Claus series. It's not the fact that people are bad. It's the fact that people want to be entertained, and some people hold certain values. That it doesn't mean other people can't have other values, but it's like there's this idea that there's these giant markets for these niche groups of whiny complainers, and it's not real. And I think the truth
like the movie Bros.
Dude, why would that exist?
I can't even.
Who's going to go?
And again, anybody that does not know what the movie Bros is, go ahead and Google it and check out Revenue Movie Bros and see how much they made.
Well, let's say you do want to do a gay rom-com. Couldn't you just make it a movie about two dudes, and they're not at parades and on a cruise and like doing everything imaginable that's a gross stereotype of that community? Like, that's what I saw when I saw the ad. I'm like, this isn't, it's pandering to a community that doesn't want to be pandered to anymore. And then they proved it.
If I were a gay person, I would be furious at how that came out and how they were depicting the gay community. I'm like, I'm a straight guy. I'm not going to watch it just because, listen, if it's well written and it's a good movie, I'll watch it. But it was the trailer alone I'm like, nah, not my thing. And I can't imagine, the gay community hopping on board with that and going, oh, we should absolutely gather everybody around and support this film.
No, there's been tons of movies that star those leads. I watched, what was it? The Liberace movie on a plane. And boy, did I regret that. Because it was with Kirk Douglas and Matt Damon. And Rob Lowe's phenomenal in it. But I didn't realize that there was so much gay sex while doing poppers. And I'm sitting on a plane, and it's like everybody can see the screen where it's just Michael Douglas getting railed. And I'm like, do I turn it off because do I look homophobic if I turn it off? Or do I just look like an insane person because I'm leaving this on? Like, I didn't know if it was, because it's not like it's a bad movie or anything. It's just like, there's parts that are just way too much. Yeah, and I like Steve Soderbergh a lot, and it's, it obviously looks good, but it's not, it was almost insulting at parts where I'm like, he's just ripping on the community, I think. But I was, and I didn't know what to do, so I had to, I watched this, 2-hour gay sex fest on a plane, and I'm just like, this is, like, if it was a guy and a girl, I'd be uncomfortable the whole time too. Don't get me wrong. You just look like a pervert watching a sex movie on a plane. So, like, I don't know who's rushing out to see these movies. Like, it can't be a lot of people. I don't know what they thought people would see. Like, if you have a movie, like, look, Philadelphia was about that. Boys Don't Cry was about that. I went and saw it. I mean, granted, that didn't have a happy ending, but nor was it a comedy. But it's not like the Crying Game. There's tons of stuff where
the Birdcage.
Birdcage was hilarious.
Birdcage was awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, so it's not like these are taboo and they've never existed before. It's just, it was this overdone. It looked like the movie Boat Trip, but extra gay.
God.
And you're like, why would I see this? No one would see this. It's appealing to no one. It's a Horatio Sands, Jerry O'Connell comedy with anal.
I think that was how it was described on IMDb, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's stupid. Stop! Stop assuming your audience is the dumbest people in the world. It's sad.
It's beyond sad. What you've got you have a son. So wrapping up here, what do you hope your son never becomes?
Oh boy, a woman.
Good answer.
How many people just got offended by that? Honestly,
fuck them.
I don't know. I would say just something that he doesn't like. As weird as that sounds, I hope he never becomes something that he just has to slave over and work, and then one day you look back at your life and go, I should have tried something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that can be anything.
No, absolutely.
Like my brother, he does accounting and stuff, and he loves math. Like, it's weird, but I mean, you've met my brother. Like, he does something he genuinely enjoys, even though it might look like a 9 to 5 to a normal person. Or it's like me and you. I'm sure normal people are different. Me and you, like, when somebody, I don't understand how other people work. They'll explain their jobs to me, and I'm just like, what? Why? Who? But there's a lot of people out there who are extremely successful at whatever he likes to do, whatever he wants to follow. I just hope that he follows what he believes in, especially now, because I don't think, being white's going to do him any favors like it once did.
Back in our day.
Yeah.
You were white. You were fine.
You had it made.
Buddy of mine, comedian Rick D'Elia, he goes, oh, white men. He goes, we had it good. And our time ran out.
Yes, it's up.
It is up. Three
Yeah.
random questions here before we wrap up. These are from the game Cards Against Humanity. So I want to go ahead and throw these out there at you. And obviously, you've got a background in improv and sketch comedy. And so I want to throw these random questions out here to you. 3 random questions. Dave Landau, DaveLandau.com. See him on Louder with Crowder. Also check out his new special, which is going to be coming out here very soon. Follow him online on his website, social media, DaveLandau.com. The special at which is filmed at the Comedy Castle. Do you have a name for the special yet or no?
A Prison 10. Which describes my appearance.
I'll leave it at that. It's part of a joke, and it's a hilarious joke. The special, I'm sure, is going to be
thank you,
fantastic. 3 random questions. Introducing the amazing superhero sidekick duo. It's blank and blank.
Oh, Muffhauser and Nolenberg.
I would have thought Rimjob and Vomshart would have made the cut again, but okay.
I know. I was hoping you were going to go with that too anyway. I wanted to see if you went back to it.
Of course I'm going to. I'm going to think about that all day long. What's the next
Rimjob, Vomshart, and Rimjob. I think we both know where that was going.
What's the next Happy Meal toy?
Oh, boy, I have to rock it through about 10. I don't know. I would imagine the his and hers child time dildo.
Perfect. Last question.
One side's pink and one side's blue, so you can end it like Requiem. And then people get offended about the color difference.
Good. Fuck them. Last question. Why am I sticky?
Well, you've just worked a very long shift at a glory hole at Dunkin' Donuts. No matter where you're working there, you're going to get sticky.
I can't think of a better way to end this episode. My friend, I can't wait to see you coming up here. We've got some shows coming up in Muskegon, Michigan on February the 11th, also in Traverse City, and then also in Canton, which is right down the road from you, in the Detroit area.
Yeah.
It's going to be super exciting. Dude, congratulations on everything. DaveLandau.com is his website. Follow him online. Check out the sketch show that he has called Normal World. Find it on YouTube. Share it around the planet. My friend, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always.
Dave Landau. Follow him online. Like I said, DaveLandau.com, and check out his special when it comes out. And the book, when that gets dropped as well, make sure you do follow him online and social media. He'll have all the details on that when it does become available. Again, while you're online, check out my book, Whiskey, Cancer, and Bad Decisions. You can snag it on Amazon. It's available hard copy, also a Kindle, as well as Audible. My drunken ass reads it to you. And then the Irish Comedy Tour. We're starting up Feb 23 in Johnson City, New York. Myself, Damon Liebert, that sexy leprechaun, Derek Kane, our singer, guitar player, brilliant musician, and the newest addition to the group, comedian Michael Malone, the IrishComedyTour.com. And myself and Dave Landau, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be appearing in Muskegon, Michigan on Saturday, February the 11th at the Fruenthal Center with Tommy Thompson is going to be hosting the show. And then Friday, April 7th at City Opera House in Traverse City, Michigan. And then Saturday, April 8th at the Village Theater at Cherry Hill in Canton, Michigan. Grab your tickets for those at DerekRichards.com. Go ahead. All the links are right there in front of you. My name's Derek Richards. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And go online to YouTube and subscribe to my channel and download all the episodes or see all the episodes of A Drink with Derek. We will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.